Yeah, never happy with a loss, but I'm proud of our young men, the way they played, handled themselves. Obviously, we're going to learn something after that break. We didn't play as good as we could have, and so we'll go to work on those things. We knew what we were up against. We knew there were a number of things that would be difficult for us to stop from West Virginia, but there were still some things after that break that we could have done better personally, and that's what we always try to do is play our best football game. So for a period of time, we were doing that, and then we didn't as much, and that's what happens when you're playing an FBS team program like West Virginia.
Questions? How difficult is it, just to get your team back onto a field after nearly a 2-hour delay? Whenever you guys were in a rhythm, you guys are down 4. How difficult is that for not only the coach to re-prepare, but also just get your team fresh again, just to get back into a game?
Our guys were excited, and you just have to be careful. They say they are, but there's some physical things you got to prepare. Or how much do you stretch when you're not sure if it's going to be 45 minutes, an hour? It's the same for both teams. You'd think we might be a little bit experienced at it. It happened at Florida State last year, but that was before the game had started. So it was a little different. In my career, I haven't had too many of them, and it's now something I have to study to maybe do better. Nutrition too. It's hard for a traveling team to plan for it. Now, they did a great job here at West Virginia getting us some food, but it took 40 minutes for them to rally up food for 100 guys. So I don't know if I answered your question, but it's a challenge that I don't think there's any exact way to do it.
What went on down here, I guess particularly during the rain delay, how did you and your players, kill the time? Because you had 2 hours.
Yeah, well, first thing was I said, get off your feet, take your pads off. Right now we're looking at, I think it was 45 minutes, but it could keep going, so don't, they're all gunned up, they're fired up, they're rolling, they're playing, and I try to get them to settle themselves down and take a break. And then I got some word that there were some lightning strikes, and I was just trying to keep them at ease. I said, if you got to, take a nap, we'll wake you up. When we got to get warmed up and go. As a staff, we had a pretty good idea that was going to be our halftime adjustments. So we did some of those things with the players through that time. And then we had to get prepared to get them loosened up and go.
Before the delay, you were really finding some connection. Obviously, there was a pick, but the deep ball was there. Just how much was that a part of the game plan, or just Darius making his reads throughout the first half?
A little, for him, a number of those were on scrambles, and he does a really good job of that. And I think they tried to take that away in the second half, or when we went back out, did a good job at it. We think we have some pretty good skilled athletes, and we thought we could take some chances and take some shots, and it came through for us.
What can you say about Clement, their kid who caught 3 touchdown passes?
We knew he was really good. It's tough to consistently through the whole game to stay with him. It's really tough. And there were actually some schemes that we had a pretty good idea it was going his way, and you still can't. You just want to try to limit the big play. I think that was probably one thing that our defensive staff would be disappointed in, is some of the big plays.
You talk about maturity as a group. There was the face mask towards the end in the first quarter, which led to the second score, and then there was the questionable OPI. Just how much of that is learning lessons that you can take from this game?
Yeah, well, those are, the face mask is just, West Virginia's got great athletes, and that young man just couldn't cut or stop in time to, for that great athlete when he made a cut. So he reached out, and it just happened to be where his face mask was. And it's pretty tough when you're trying to get someone down to think in that moment. You know, they're playing, they're battling like crazy. The OPI, you watch the replay and tell me. You know, I think those guys do a great job, but I see that play hundreds of times through all football, and I don't see that. You know. But, you know, we gotta do it better so we don't get called for that position.
How does not having a proper halftime affect the way you're able to scheme up the second half?
Like I said, I think we used the break and planned for it that way. And in this situation, in these games, for us anyways, there's so many timeouts, we're able to get some things done on the sidelines. So we kind of use those two things to get done what we had to.
In the rushing game, you guys were defensively not able to stop them. Was there anything there that you came into the game kind of thinking that you could use like tactically to stop it and it just didn't go well, or were you just kind of blown away by them as a whole?
No, we knew that was one of their strong points is their running game, and you got to get extra guys to the box, and then you got to get guys that are as big and strong and fast as them to the box and do it on a consistent basis. And then when you do, you're leaving the outside receivers one-on-one, and that's the challenge, and that's the way the game's played now. And you know, you're playing an FBS team that has a lot of guys that are really talented and big and strong and fast. I give our kids a ton of credit. We just don't have as many.
You said obviously you're never satisfied with a loss, but as the program sort of elevates to start playing these much larger Power 5 teams, you guys competed today and kept the game as competitive for as long as you have in any of your previous matchups. Is that any sort of morale boost to you or the locker room?
I think the guys will look at it that way. I don't. I look at it, I'm not measuring the length of time. You know, we're just gonna grade out every single play and how can we get better and what is something we could have controlled. You can't control sometimes the skill and the athleticism of some of the players, and we talk about it all the time. Sometimes they just make a play that's better than you. You just get up and go make the next play, you know? That's what's great about football and the competition. So I won't look at it that way. We'll be positive about the things we did well for whatever length of time we did, and then we'll correct the things that we couldn't do, and we're not gonna say if this guy made a great move, you know, that's a problem. You just gotta, you know, we always say try to play a little smarter on your angles.
Anything else, Coach? With the changing crowd, do you think the energy or possibly lack thereof with everybody heading home after the 2-hour lightning delay maybe affected maybe how the dynamic of how the team played after that?
I would like to say it did. It didn't, it doesn't, because we're dialed in and focused, but I understand the emotion of the game. It's an opponent circumstance of college football. I tell them all the time it's the greatest thing in the world, but you can't let it affect how you play. It's possible, but I thought we had energy coming out, walking out of that tunnel, getting warmed up, ready to go. I think a big part of it, I knew West Virginia was going to be able to move the football and put points on the board. We didn't have a good, whatever you call that when we came out, end of the second quarter offensive couple series. And their momentum.
All right. Thanks, Coach.